Today's guest is a registered nurse. She's also an actor, a producer, and she has brought those two worlds together. Welcome to Small Talk.
Any and all are welcome here to come and chat with me.
Hi, everyone. Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful day here in Chilliwack. I hope it's nice where you are. I'm very pleased to welcome today's guest, Marianne Sawchuk. Welcome to the show,
Hi.
Marianne.
Thank you.
I love your bio. There is so much happening in your life. Like, oh my goodness, that is so wonderful. But I want to go back a little bit, if you don't mind. Okay. You were an Air Force brat, right?
Yes.
I've heard Army brat, but I've never heard Air Force brat, but why not, right? So where did you grow up, though, mainly?
Mainly, I grew up all across Canada. I was born in Ottawa, lived in Kingston, and then I spent most of my elementary school years in Cold Lake, Alberta,
Right.
and Beaver Lodge, Alberta. Cold Lake is a big Air Force base. My dad was a fighter pilot for the Canadian Air Force, and so he flew out of Cold Lake a lot. I mean, it's a big base. Flew all kinds of jets, I think 104s and the Widowmakers and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And then we moved to Beaver Lodge, Alberta, which is in northern Alberta near Grand Prairie, and it was a radar base. So it was really interesting. We lived on one of the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, and it was a beautiful place to live. And then after that, we moved to Oromocto, New Brunswick, which was a big shift because that was an Army base that we lived on.
Okay.
So, which was different for being from an Air Force brat, so to speak. But that was a really great place to live. Living in Eastern Canada was amazing. Just the people and New Brunswick was awesome. And then we moved to Winnipeg. And then that's where I kind of stayed for junior high school, and university. And then I moved off after that. So
Right. And your mother was an X-ray technician, correct?
yes, she was. Yes, she studied as an X-ray tech, and then basically did have to follow my dad around. She was able to get jobs in some of the places that we lived as an X-ray tech and other things. And then when we got to Winnipeg, she worked at the Grace Hospital as an X-ray technician for many years.
Did you find it difficult when you were younger, moving around like that?
You know what? I think it was a great opportunity for me, as I have a twin sister. Sorry, I've got a little allergies going on. I have a twin sister, so I was always moving with my best friend. It was difficult to leave some of the places. Obviously, Beaver Lodge was one of the places that I have very fond memories of. And it was very difficult to leave Beaver Lodge because I had some really good friends there. Most of my friends lived on farms, so we would go have sleepovers on different farms, like dairy farms and horse ranches and chicken farms and all that kind of stuff, pig farms. That comes to mind. But it was hard. That was hard. But I feel like and being an adult looking back, it taught me so much resilience and so much to grasp onto adventure and to embrace change. So it was. I have very, very fond memories of growing up like that, moving around. I think as a parent, now I'm a parent, and it's hard for you to think you're going to uproot your child and move them around and that it's going to cause problems. But for me, it really taught me to embrace change, embrace adventure. My parents were very adventurous, so that helped. But and even, it's funny because people will think, oh, well, living in Cold Lake and Beaver Lodge, but it was like such a great memory for me. And literally when we moved to the big city of Winnipeg, that was so exciting.
Yes, right.
Winnipeg is Winnipeg, but like it was just so exciting to move to Winnipeg. But yet I have fond memories of all the places, all the small places that I lived.
Nice, yeah. Now I'm just going to bring you up to your adulthood. Now you're both an actress, there's much more to that, and a registered nurse, right? So what was first? What came first?
Registered nurse. My
Oh.
mom, when I graduated from high school, I really didn't know what I wanted. I was really good at math and really good at sciences. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And my mom was just kind of like, you know what, Marianne, back then there was a condensed program. You could get your RN within 2 years. Most people did flunk out, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But so it was a tough program. It was a 2-year program. And my mom said, just do that. And then you can do whatever you want. And then at the time, I didn't have any inclination to be an actor. That wasn't part of who I was. I was actually quite a wallflower. And so I became a nurse, moved to Vancouver. And the job that I had, they wanted me to do orientation. So I had to stand in front of like, a theater of new nurses that were going to be oriented to the hospital at St. Paul's Hospital. And I was not that kind of person. I was literally like very shy. So I started taking acting classes to help myself. I thought, well, that'll help myself.
Okay.
Be able to, do that type of job. I did other things in that job. I was mostly nursing, but that was one of the parts of a small part of my job. And then I fell in love with acting. So yeah.
Yeah. But now at the same time, you have melded those two worlds together, correct?
Yes, I have. Yes. Yes.
So, now I don't know where to start because there's so much that is so fantastic. Now you're now in Toronto.
Yeah.
And now not only are you an actor, you're also, you've directed, you produced along with your husband, I believe, right?
Yes, I've actually never directed, but yes, producing is a big part. Yes, that's, you know what I do think that I will direct one day. Well, I just kind of one step at a time, but I've done a lot of producing. Yes.
Right. So now sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say more independent producing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's see. Now you, your debut as a producer and an actor was in Glen Ross?
In Toronto, when I moved to Toronto. That was my Toronto debut, I was really excited to I've always wanted to live in Toronto, and I did it as just like we moved here about 5 years ago, and I did and so my debut in Toronto was an all-female version of Glengarry Glen Ross. The playwright David Mamet did give us permission to do that. He's known to not give permission for any kind of changes to his plays. Right. So we reassured him that we would not change one word in the script, and and we didn't. And so we did it as kind of a, like, Glengarry Glen Ross is like just such an iconic play, and we just felt we really wanted to do the play. And so we did it as female identifying, but we didn't change a word. So and I played and I played the Ricky Roma, which is like really a iconic role. And it was very well received. We had really great reviews. We actually sold out every show. We had to like bring chairs in and cram. This was back when, when we could do that. Cram people into the theater. It was such a great experience. All right. Anita La Selva, who's a fantastic director, she's also an actor. She's also just did a short film herself, which is amazing. She was the one who directed it, and we worked really hard, and it was a wonderful experience.
Well, then we better take you back to Vancouver then, since that would have been your real first debut, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay, so what was your first production or first role in Vancouver?
My first role in Vancouver, funny enough, I was going to the William Davis Center Theater School. I was in their program there, and actually I think it was Lee Bolton, who's funny. She's actually directed me in several things, but she was working at the school as well, as she's also a director. But anyway, she came out and she said that Salome was in town. It was going to be, it was Adam McGowan was doing a opera version of Salome, the opera version of Salome, and they needed a actress to like, it was kind of like they needed an actress because they couldn't have just a regular, because the opera has forgive me for not knowing the correct term, but they're kind of like extras on stage.
Okay.
So background, they have a particular name and I can't remember but what the name was, but they needed an actor to go because yeah, now that I think about it, it's really funny. The lead opera male opera singer had to touch the breast of one of it was part of the scene, and
Okay.
Adam McGowan was directing. So they looked at me and said, "Do you want to do this?" And I'm like, it was just like, that was my debut in Vancouver, was being on stage, directed by Adam McGowan.
Right.
Roman Hurko was also associate director at the time. They were both fabulous to work with,
Right.
just amazing. And it was, yeah. So that was my debut as an actor. I did, do in grade 6, I played Calamity Jane. but yeah, so it was pretty amazing to work with Adam McGowan. That was my debut. Yeah. In Vancouver. Yeah.
Very good. I mean, there's been so many different ones. You were the director for Women at Play.
I'm the artistic director. Yeah. I created and produce Women at Plays. And that came about when in Vancouver. I did 3 in Vancouver and I've done 1 here in Toronto. And that came about just kind of a reaction to just noticing that, and this was quite a few years ago, but it was noticing that, female artists weren't getting the recognition that I thought that they should. Right. In the acting world, in the directing world, and for both film and television, and then writing and playwrights. Right. So I mean, even still, playwrights who identify as female are not even produced like 50% in Canada at this time, and they should be, right? It should be. Of course. So I decided, to develop something that I could afford. And so with theater, you don't make money doing theater, but it takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but you can do it on a low budget and hopefully break even, and have people who are the great thing, people who are inspired to donate their time, right, and for causes like that, and so yeah, it's to inspire work for right, theatrical artistic endeavors, for female identifying people, and it's really a great thing. I have fantastic people that are that come together to be a part of it. Right. I have diversity is a big mandate for me, as well as age. I like to see an age rate. Actually, we had an 85-year-old actress on Women at Plays 2 on stage. Her husband would set her up in the corner near the stage, and she'd sit there. And then when she had her time to go on, so it's a whole bunch of one acts, about 10 minutes each. So I have it's a huge production with just the number of people and female identifying people involved, and yeah, it's great fun too. Very good.
Have you written any plays yourself?
No, I haven't, but that's also something that I'm thinking of, in my spare time, directing and writing one day. I have list, like a kind of a list of things in my head that I'd like to accomplish in life, and I'm just slowly checking those off. It's great.
Now let's get into when you started bringing in your role or your career as a registered nurse and into the acting world. When and what was that?
Well, my first commercial that I landed, I played a nurse for way back. Actually, the director of that, I'm just trying to think, and it's funny that her name, I'm a blank at her name. She's actually the one that is the executive producer for Homeland.
Oh, okay.
She was my first commercial director, and I
Okay.
don't know, I cannot believe her name is blanking on me. Anyway, yeah, so I played a nurse, and it was quite fun because I really I was hired as an actor, and nobody knew that I was a nurse.
Okay.
Back then, I kept it. It's strangely enough, back then I used to keep those worlds separate because I thought of and I do for when I'm nursing, I definitely keep my acting world out of my nursing.
Sure.
Even when I worked in Cedar Sinai in Los Angeles, which a whole bunch of directors, actors, producers came through that ER, and I never told anybody that I was as an actor. That it's just as unprofessional, so I didn't. But back then too, so it was funny that she recognized that I really, and so I did a little thing. She's like, oh my God, you can, so it was pretty cool.
Right.
And then as in theater, I did a very exciting project through the BC Nurses Union. I landed a role and it was called Hurl, Hemorrhage, and Heal. And it was a musical. And the BC Nurses Union decided to do a musical and tour this play throughout BC to increase awareness of the nursing shortage. And this was years ago when it's been short for a long time, the nursing shortage. So that was really exciting. I auditioned, and then the director, Stephen Hill, decided to, I auditioned, and he was just like, you're a nurse too? And I was like, yes. And an actor. And at that time I'd graduated from theater school. And he was like, wow, he goes, it'd be a great idea to hire nurses and that are actors. And then they did. It was all over the province. Some of my castmates were from, some of them were from Victoria, quite a few around the lower mainland of Vancouver, but some were from Victoria Island and all over. And it was really, we had such a great time. We toured BC, all different. Sometimes we fly into places. Right. It was an amazing experience, and that really melded my world of acting and nursing.
Nursing sounds awesome. Now, what have you done in collaboration with your husband?
Yes, we started our own little production company called Valiant Heart Films, and we've been. He wrote a film called Heaven and Earth: A Ritual, and also after that another short that we did under the lockdown of the pandemic called Molly's World, and so those are the two short films that we've produced. He's written and directed and composed all three. He's a that way a triple threat. And so it was really exciting. It's just something that we always wanted to do, and now that we've got two films under our belt, both of them are in the festival circuit right now. Heaven and Earth: A Ritual debuted at the American Indian Film Festival, which was it's a very prestigious festival. We were really proud to be a part of them. We've had other great festivals that have screened, and we're still screening right now.
Very good. Now, you mentioned I think you mentioned COVID. You had something to do with that, right?
Yeah. Yes. When COVID hit, the first wave, I was actually working in the ER here in Toronto, right. And our ER actually, we got hit really badly. I volunteered to be part of the emergency department COVID task force. Our hospital there's 3 hospitals under our umbrella, right. So we get together and see how are we going to figure this out? How are we going to get through with the limited PPE, or personal protective equipment? At the time, we didn't have those special type of masks called N95s. We had a very limited supply. I would only be able to use one if we were intubating, and so I'd have to save my mask in a little paper bag and put it aside. It was crazy. Then I when I worked in Los Angeles, my coworkers down at Cedar Sinai were actually using these things called PAFRs, which are these helmets to protect themselves. Oh, my goodness. And I'm like with one little N95 that I'd have to save for different patients. I was helping the RT and doctors intubate, right? Yeah. So anyway, but we managed to not have any outbreaks. It was this really scary time. But as I was doing that, all of a sudden I got an email in my junk mail, which I thought was like junk, but I thought I'd click on it just in case. It came through LinkedIn, and it was Netflix was looking for a health and safety supervisor for a film that they were doing up here in Toronto. And so I clicked it and thought, oh, okay, well, I'll see what this is about. And they actually offered me a job as lead health and safety supervisor for the second wave. We were doing second wave of the pandemic.
Yeah.
They were doing a musical. I was like, oh no, really? A musical. And then they're like, and I'm like, and they're like, there are 2 immunocompromised people on the cast and their children. Okay, great. So I'm like, bring it on. Let's see what we can do. So it was very exciting that the people, Tamara Davis was the director. And this cool thing, it turned out to be quite female based, which is really good, cool. Georgia Stitt, she's a Broadway musical director that came up to do the musical direction, and then Tamara Davis was the director, and it was just really, really exciting. It was we had no COVID outbreaks, we had no delay in production due to testing for COVID, and it was a really that was really exciting to do that. So that was another foray into my melding my nursing and production experience, because that's what really got me into that job.
Is there anything else going to be happening with Netflix?
I'm just still waiting. They kind of halted bringing stuff across the border a little bit. Okay. And there's a lot of great nurses that are health and safety supervisors as well. That because we all kind of get together, and doctors, of course, as well. And so it's but they kind of slowed a little bit down bringing people up here. So we'll see. They're looking at bringing people up again now that things are calmed down a bit. So yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah.
Are you currently involved in anything?
Right now I'm working in another ER, which is like I went back because I just felt these poor nurses are just so burnt out going through. I was lucky to have a break from the ER during COVID, and now they're just very tired and just very so I'm back working the ER. But I'm also working on a 5th edition of Women at Plays. I've got all my submissions. I was supposed to be doing the show at the end of February, beginning of March, but I postponed it. I know things are opening up now, but to do this type of show, you need quite a lead up for rehearsals. And for safety wise, I didn't want to put directors and actors rehearsing together in any kind of situation where and it's difficult to rehearse in masks. It really is. Yes. But not just that. Unfortunately, Omicron is so contagious that I didn't want to put anybody at risk for that rehearsal period while the numbers were so high. So I decided to postpone it. But I'm really excited about this show. I've got some fabulous submissions. I have a jury that we all decide on, like we come together and read the plays and decide on what's best. But 2 of them that I'm really excited about. One is a submission from someone that I worked with in Women at Plays for, Trina Moy, and she's submitted, she's of Cree ancestry, and she's submitted a oral story that she wanted to share. And so I'm really excited about seeing that on stage. Some of the things I've picked already, and if she's going to do it. And then another one is a submission from an Ethiopian. She's Canadian, but her background is she's from Ethiopia, and she's actually a friend of mine's cousin, and so she submitted something. So anyway, I'm just looking forward to getting that all together, and that's the one I'm working on now.
Very good. Oh my gosh, it all sounds so exciting. I mean, I was lucky enough to be part of the Vagina Monologues for a number of years, and so. Yeah, I know how important it is to have things that women can get involved in, right? So it's so very important. Yeah.
Yes, I saw one of the Vagina Monologues show, and it was funny and heartbreaking, and it was such a great production. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I love doing it. I love doing it. Unfortunately, the person who put them on moved over to the island, and it's difficult for me. I don't no longer drive. But the last time she wanted me to be there, I couldn't, and I was having some health issues, blah, 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 but I would love to be involved again, but they'd have to be in my area. But anyway, it is what it is.
Yes.
Okay, so now you will, just before we end, I want to make sure that we have everything involved, because there's so much that you've done. There's so much that you will be doing, and I want everybody to be aware of all that you're involved in, because the fact that you've taken the time to still be the nurse, as you said, it's so important right now, right?
Yes.
Because they are burnt out, and they don't always get the appreciation that they deserve.
That's
right?
True. Yeah. Yeah.
People are more likely, first, a lot of times people want to complain before they want to praise somebody. So I applaud you for doing that. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anything that you would like mention that I forgot to ask?
No, I don't think so. I'm really intrigued how you found me and how you wanted to interview me. I just really, really appreciate that. I was just like very humbled and wow, this is great.
I'm just a small time interviewer. I'm not on
lovely.
CBC yet. Anyway, I'm just gonna say goodbye to the audience, so just to hang on for a second, okay? So everybody, I hope you enjoyed or got as much out of this as I did. I really appreciate Marianne taking the time to be here to do this, and thank her for being one of the first responders to be there for that protects all of us. So thank you for watching, everybody, and peace out.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see.